see if I can get all of these up here. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Rebecca. This is Becca's Bookshelf. Today I'm going to be doing a book recommendations as my third video for my week of introductions. The first book I have for you is Lisa McMahon's Criers Cross. This story follows a girl named Kendall who lives in Criers Cross where nothing interesting ever happens and all she wants to do is get out. She wants to move on and go to a dancing school in New York, but then something happens in her town. A girl goes missing and this never happens. Nothing ever happens in her small little town in the middle of nowhere. So everybody searches and searches and they can't find her anywhere. And then life sort of returns to normal as Kendall begins to finish her senior year of high school. Then her best friend goes missing. So Kendall takes it upon herself that she is going to find the answer to this. She is going to find out what happened to both of the people in her classroom. So she starts to sit at his desk, the desk that he sat at. And she starts to hear a voice saying, "Please help me, please save me." And she decides that she is going to track down this voice and find out what happened, no matter how much the people in her town don't want her to find that out. I really recommend this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And it's a quick, easy read, like 200 pages, has a little bit of paranormal in it, but it's a very good read. The second book that I have for you is Cracked by K.M. Walton. Now this book is probably one of my favorites I read this year. It's very funny. It was an easy read. I read it in like a day, and I really, really enjoyed this book. It made me laugh, it made me smile, it made me sad. So it was all of those good feelings that you want in a book. This book is told through 2 points of view. The first one is Victor, whose parents don't really care too much about him. They are always gone on vacations and never pay too much attention to him. So he decides one day that he is going to take a bunch of his mother's sleeping pills and kill himself because he is also being bullied. And he just decides that it's not worth it anymore and he just wants to kill himself. The second point of view is told from Bull's point of view, and he is the bully that is bullying Victor, but he's also having a lot of problems in his home life, which has made him kind of who the bully he is. And he decides that he is going to attempt to kill his grandfather, and he ends up the one getting shot. So they both end up in a psych ward together as roommates. So they spend the remainder of the book as roommates and are having to go through, I think it's a week or so in the ward before they are able to be released. And they have to learn to get along and go back out into the world. It's a very funny book. The first series I have for you is actually an adult series that I picked up a very long time ago, and this is the first book. It is called The Forever King by Molly Cochran and Warren Murphy, and then you have The Broken Sword and The Third Magic. Now this series, it's a little bit slow in places because it is an adult book, so it goes through a lot more of in-depth, like, not main character storyline. You also have the storyline of the villain, which is very, very slow in the middle of this first book, but I actually really enjoyed it. This book is about the reincarnation of King Arthur, and he gets reincarnated into this 12-year-old boy, and he is supposed to be finding his way back to Camelot to rule again, because as we know from the lore of King Arthur, that one day he will rise again. And he meets this guy named Hal, who is Lancelot reincarnated, and Lancelot decides that he's going to help Arthur, much to his chagrin. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't really care. He doesn't believe, he doesn't care that this is happening to this little boy and that somebody is trying to kill him, but he ends up getting pulled along by the strings of fate to help Arthur get back to England and to Camelot and to his people. It spans out over these 3 books, and it is a very, very good series if you are into Arthurian folklore and want something that's a little bit different. Also, it is interesting and fun for the ride. I really enjoyed this book. It was one of my first adult books that I ever read, and that was what made me keep going back to adult books. The next series that I have for you is the Daughter of the Forest series, and it is 6 books long. It's an adult series as well. This was the second series I read after the Forever King series, And let me just say that this is my all-time favorite series. I fell in love with this series after I read the first book. I decided after I read the first one that I had to pick up the rest of them, and then I ended up getting them all in hardback, and I just reread them. They are my go-to reread books. When I'm in a reading slump, I decide that I'm going to read them. They each follow a different character, so I'm not going to explain all of them to you guys today. But the first one is called The Daughter of the Forest, and it is about this Irish family who is... It's kind of set in a medieval past, but it doesn't really have like a date because there's things that happen in the book that didn't happen in history. But she is the 7th child of the King of Seven Waters. She has 6 older brothers. Her mother died giving birth to her, and then her father remarries to this lady named Una, who is also a sorceress. And she decides that she is going to curse Sorka's family, and all of the boys turn into swans, and Sorka is the only one who escapes. And to save her brothers, she has to make 7 shirts for them, made out of this thorny thread that is very pointy and very sharp, and it is sticking her fingers and it's hurting her. And the kick in this is that she cannot speak during this. I think it's over a course of like, I think it's 3 years, just about, that she spends in silence making these shirts to save her brothers. And so she lives out in this cave in the middle of nowhere, and her brothers can only see her on one day of the year, I believe it is. One day of the year they get to turn back into humans, and they come and see her and check on her, and one day they don't come back. They've started to turn into the swans as they keep having to be the swans for longer and longer and longer. The more they become less human. So she spends all of this time doing this, fixing these for her brother, and she gets taken by the Britons. And that is where I'm going to leave that off. She gets taken by the Britons, and a lot happens after that. Some very intense and happy and sad, and it just... Oh, it's a very good book, so you guys should pick that up. It's my favorite series. The last book I have for you is a classic, and it is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I didn't think I would like this book as much as I did when I read it. I read it my sophomore year of high school with my teacher, Miss Aubrey, and this is the only book I can like remember reading in high school besides like Shakespeare, because I'm a huge fan of Shakespeare. I also have another copy of it right here because they were both so beautiful, and I think I have a third copy somewhere. But the Lord of the Flies, if you don't know what this is about, it is about a group of schoolboys who are being evacuated because of bombs coming in. So they get on this airplane, and this airplane crashes on this island, and they are stuck on this island without any adults. The only adult that they had with them was the pilot on the plane, and he is in a coma. So they are all on their own on this deserted island in the middle of nowhere with no way to get home. And basically they descend into 2 different groups and into savages, and Ralph is trying to keep them being civilized, and they become these 2 different powers that are fighting to stay alive but also for power. So if you really want a good classic book, I would really recommend it. It's a really, really easy read. It's very short. It's only like... It's not even 200 pages. So if you need a classic book to read, I would really, really, really recommend this book. Those are all the books I have for you guys today. I will hopefully do another recommendations video soon of more of the books that I have in my room. Let me know what you guys thought below about some of these books. Do you have any books that are similar to these that you think I should read? If you do, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you guys tomorrow.